We're gonna wrap up a little bit in a second, but I want to talk to you about, because this was important to me.
Okay.
I work with the city of Detroit. I'm from Detroit, of course. I love being from Detroit.
Of course.
I am. It is such an honor to me. Like, I wouldn't want to be from anywhere else in
No
the
doubt.
world. Like,
No doubt.
Detroit is just so cool to me. And one of the conversations that we were having is about Project Clean Slate.
Yeah.
I have been advocating for that because I know that we make mistakes in life.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we make mistakes in life, and I know that even in those mistakes, we deserve second chances.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got to talking about Project Clean Slate, you're like, oh, that's one of my policies.
That's right.
And that made my heart smile. It did. Because when I sat here and I talked to you earlier in regards to, and be clear, when I talk about race, when I talk about you being a black man, I understand that you are a man, but it's important to me to see a black man in this position.
I appreciate that.
And when I said that I feel like you're doing what you are supposed to be doing in this position, this is one of those things that I feel like you are supposed to be doing, and that you're showing up for people properly.
Yeah.
Lower, and not even just black, lower income households, middle to lower class people. We need representation. And when we have our representatives that we've put into office, our elected officials showing up and saying, hey, I know that you made mistakes in the past. Let's go this route so we can make it so you have access to housing, access to education, access to better employment. That to me matters, and it has to be highlighted.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I appreciate that. Look, so, I mean, if you would have asked me coming into office whether sort of the broader area of reforming our criminal justice and legal system would have been one of the things I've spent the most time on, I don't know that I would have predicted that. I mean, it's important and it impacts a lot of people, but where it started was in 2019, the governor asked me to lead a task force on jail and pretrial incarceration. How do we reduce our jail population? Primarily, how do we do that? So I co-chaired that with the then Chief Justice of the Michigan Supreme Court, Bridget McCormick, and we did the deepest dive that's ever been done on who's in jail and why in Michigan. And what we learned working with the Pew Charitable Trust and the stakeholders from around the state of Michigan was that the jail system has failed basically every community. And it also has not lived up to the notion of being a tool for public safety. And so it has not served us well. And there's family after family, black, white, poor, wealthy, who had horror stories about what happened, what happened in the criminal legal system, the jail system for their families. And so we did this. We had one of the most comprehensive jail reform packages signed into law in 2020 in the entire country in a generation because of that work that we did in the task force. But then one of the things you have to ask yourself then is, okay, so for people who have been wronged by that system, whether it's the jail system or the prison system, they have a mark on their record because of it. And so how do we help them become whole? How do we help them have full access to civic and economic life once again? And so Michigan now has the most progressive, expansive, and inclusive automatic criminal record clearance program in the nation, and that is called Clean Slate. What it means is, you've committed your offense, you have served your time in incarceration, you have completed your parole or probation, and now you should be able to be fully present in society. And before we did Clean Slate, only 7 out of every 100 people who had stuff eligible for record clearance or expungement took advantage of it. Wow. Now, you had some amazing people who were going around the state trying to help people clear their records. I got a shout out. Judge Deborah Thomas is one of the people who has been just like the Pied Piper of this in Michigan for years. But also, why should you have to get a lawyer and pay money and wait more time when the law says it should no longer be on your record?
Right.
So we automated that process, and as a technologist, I was confident that we could make that process automatic, even though we have all these different jail systems that have different data and information systems that are not compatible with the state Supreme Court system. That we had to figure out how to cobble all that stuff together. But once we got it, people's justice became instant. And so on April 13th, when the system lit up, we were able to clear almost 1 million offenses from people's records in one day.
Wow.
And so since that's gone into effect now for a little more than a year, we've cleared 2 million offenses. There are more than 200,000 people have had their records completely cleared. And that is enabling people to, like you said, get a house or an apartment, to go back to school, to be reunited with their families. People can see their kids again because of this. And I think it is going to be one of the most meaningful policies that we put into place in terms of making people, up to 800,000 people may be job eligible over the next 10 years as a result of this. In this time in the economy, when we need people to be ready and able and willing to work and to start a business, or to, just to do things they need to do to support their family that are legal, like, this is helping people do that, rather than being stricken with this thing on your record that prevents you from being able to get a driver's license or convince you to be able to get a certain type of job, even if you're good at it. I care really deeply about this, and I think it's enabling. And it's a good example, though, of how technology, when applied the right way, can really help a policy make a difference. And so I'm excited. We have already, some of my counterparts in other states have asked us how we did it in Michigan, because I think everybody deserves it.
Yeah. Listen, so this next conversation, I think I got a couple more questions,
Okay,
then I'm done, I promise.
That's all good.
Okay, so the Michigan Reconnect.
Yes.
Before I even was familiar with y'all office on a personal level, because, now I get to email back and forth with y'all offices, now I feel important. I was promoting Michigan Reconnect.
Yeah.
I
for real?
felt like this
Really?
was something that was like, yo, y'all go ahead and get this education real quick, because it's for free. Can we talk about that? Why was that so important to
Oh
you
my
guys?
gosh. So look, if we go back to the beginning of the administration, 2019, the governor and I are thinking about what can we do to really move the state of Michigan forward. And one of the things we recognize is that, look, we want people to have a higher quality of life in Michigan. And the surest way for you to improve your quality of life is to raise your household income. If more money flowing into your house, you can have a higher quality of life. The American system's pretty straightforward in that regard. Well, one of the surest ways to raise your household income is to increase educational attainment. So that helps us then to take a step back and think about, well, how can we help people get access to more education, more training, more certifications? And one of the barriers to that is costs. For a lot of people, look, I went to Michigan on an academic scholarship. Like, I get it. I wouldn't have went to Michigan if it wasn't for a scholarship. So the Michigan Reconnect program now says that you can go to community college tuition free. And we will also provide resources alongside that tuition payment that says that for what we call wraparound services, which basically means if life happens and your car breaks down or you need to get more internet access, you got a childcare emergency, that there'll be resources to help you like solve that problem so you can stay focused on your education. This is a game changer. We've had almost 200,000 people participate in the Michigan Reconnect program and get degrees as a result of it. It has been so successful that, in fact, we set a goal called 60 by 30, which means that by the year 2030, we want 60% of adults in Michigan to have some kind of degree or credential after they graduate from high school. When we announced that, we were in the mid 40s. Now we're at almost 52% of people. So we're ahead of schedule, sort of coming into that goal. But it's been so impactful. It's been so important. This has been bipartisan legislation. Republicans agreed with us on it because we think that can put people on this pathway to higher education or the skills training that will help them be positioned for the jobs of tomorrow, to help them start the businesses of tomorrow, and that help them raise their income and therefore have a higher quality of life.
Well, listen, as a mother of a high school freshman, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I would really appreciate
I got
it.
something else for you. So on that as well, though, alongside that, that's not our only thing we're doing on college affordability. So we also have a program called the Michigan Achievement Scholarship.
Okay.
And this is every high school senior is eligible to apply for this scholarship. All you got to do is fill out your FAFSA form. If you fill out your FAFSA form, the Michigan Achievement Scholarship says that if you go to college in Michigan, period, we will provide some tuition assistance for that. If you go to a 4-year public university in Michigan, Saginaw Valley, whatever, you could qualify for up to $27,500 over 5 years to graduate, to tuition assistance for college. Then there's a different level for community college, a different level for 4-year private colleges, but there's money for everything. And about 7 out of 10 graduating seniors will qualify for a scholarship from the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. And that's enough money to stand between people going to college and not going to college.
Absolutely, it is.
And so we're showing families that the state of Michigan is interested in the educational potential and success of Michigan children. And as we combine that with the investments we make and starting all the way up to affordable child care, putting the state on a path to universal preschool, to the record investments we made in K-12 education, to making college more affordable through Michigan Achievement and the Michigan Reconnect, we want people to know that there's a pathway for you to be your best in Michigan.
I love that. As a parent, I appreciate it. Because can we talk about universal preschool?
Hey, look. Yeah.
So my
My,
son, our youngest baby is 4. He'll be 4 next week.
okay.
I told you
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
year, this time 4 years ago, I was in the hospital
That's right.
waiting for
That's
him to
right.
come.
That's right.
And he's actually homeschooled, but he's going to do the K through 12 program online as well
Okay.
later on this year.
Yeah.
And when I look back at when we were going through like the pandemic and raising him and having to have the in-house care because the daycare situation was just too scary and whatnot, our in-house care situation was more expensive than our actual mortgage at the time.
Yeah.
And when I look at, I'm thinking about families and what's going on with families as someone, I know for a fact I speak from a place of privilege. I'm an entertainer. I'm literally on tour most of the time. So my life is a little bit different. These people are out here struggling and inflation is whooping tail.
Yeah.
What are we doing to combat that?
All right. So my youngest will be 5 in 2 weeks.
Oh, play date.
And so, hey, this might work. She real managerial. You gotta be careful.
So, you said 5 in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
she's the same sign as my son.
She's
Trust
an
me.
adult.
There-
But childcare is expensive.
Yes.
Childcare breaks a lot of people's bank.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've done a lot of work to expand. We also don't have enough of it. So look, I launched a program called Caring for My Future
Okay.
in 2021. 2022. And the goal was to open 1,000 new childcare facilities in 2 years. Well, we spent $100 million on this. And we actually opened 1,400 in 13 months.
Okay.
To try to scale up what we have available. So we're trying to make sure they have good staff and all those resources. But one of the reasons childcare is so expensive is because there's not enough of it.
Right.
That the supply demand issue that we have. So trying to make sure we have more high quality childcare with well trained, well supported, well compensated childcare professionals will help us reduce the cost there. We also have made it less expensive for someone to go in to getting early childhood education. We have like scholarships and stipends for people who are pursuing that path. Again, all about lowering the cost there. Now, as your kid ages into preschool age, we propose making preschool universal starting in the fall for every 4-year-old in Michigan. On average, preschool costs people $10,000 a year, and that's on average. That means we got people paying more than that in certain parts of Michigan. And so we're working through negotiating with the legislature right now how to finalize that policy. But that will be huge for not only parents being able to pocket this money and spend it on the other things that you need to spend it on at a time when it's so expensive, but also this helps kids meet their milestones. It also, the important piece about daycare and preschool too is it also helps kids see that there are other adults in the community that care for them,
Yes.
which matters for their social and emotional development.
Yes.
And so we think that this should be a right in Michigan. Everyone should have access to it. And so we're working hard to get that across the finish line. But because again, it's a win-win. It saves people money. It positions children to be successful, to be earlier readers, which will help our, improving our literacy outcomes as a state. So this is something I care pretty deeply about because, yes, my baby girl is finishing pre-K on Friday.
Oh, is she having like a graduation ceremony and stuff?
No, she goes to one of the Detroit public schools, Montessori buildings.
Okay.
And so they have pre-K and K in the same classroom. So she'll get like a graduation for kindergarten.
Okay.
Or a bridging ceremony, they call it.
That's
Yeah,
okay. Tell her TT gonna send her a little graduation cap off Amazon.
you're gonna see her styling with it too.
I'm ordering one for my son, seriously. So I got you. Okay, so just to wrap it up, I just wanted you to know that when I was first introduced to who you were,
Yeah.
I was out the gate proud.
Oh,
I was so out, like when
that's
they were
very
like,
kind.
this is who she's chosen as a running partner.
Oh my gosh.
And he's a black man and he's from the east side of Detroit. I said, oh, we in there. We in there. We were so proud of you.
I appreciate that.
We were so proud of you.
Look, well, we are all in this together, Randy, and thank you
Yes.
for using your platform that you have built to be able to help people understand themselves, to help people realize that it's going to be okay, to help people be able to think toward the future, knowing that they can do and be who they want to be and be safe with that. That's really important. And, some people use their stuff for ill, but you're using yours for good. And that matters.
I just try to be who I needed at some point in my
I hear that.
life.
That's a good way to say that.
I just try to be who I needed. And I really appreciate that. So thank you for having me today.
Of course. Thank you.